that's me. But to get back to George, you know George, I'm sure. Solid type, 42 years old. Hard worker, pretty shrewd in most things. He's a family man. His wife is a lovely girl. They have 2 great children.
Here he is. Daddy, hi!
You must be tired, dear.
Well, dinner's waiting.
You should have called.
Come on in, change.
I was worried about
We're
that.
here now. Come on, let's go.
You hungry? In short, our good friend George is a catalog of all the standard virtues. But did you notice that cough of his? Rich, resonant, right from the diaphragm. George has been hacking away like that for years. He's not worried about it, you understand. Not at all. In fact, that's what he's telling his doctor this very moment.
It's only a smoker's cough, Doc.
See what I mean?
Isn't it?
Here. This should give you some relief.
You didn't answer my question.
Smoker's cough? Well, you're a heavy smoker. So by definition.
That's still not an answer.
What do you want me to say? Have I found anything more serious this time? No, I haven't. The x-ray's negative. As far as I can tell, you're all right. But you're pushing your luck. How many cigarettes do you smoke in a day?
Oh, I don't know. 2 packs, maybe more. Depends.
What?
Why? Why not? You just admitted it hasn't done me any harm.
Now who's not answering?
Well, I suppose I shouldn't, but I like it. I like it. Like it. There was a jingle years ago in school. Tobacco something something weed. Dirty weed. Tobacco is a dirty weed. I like it. It satisfies no normal need. I like it. It makes you thin, it makes you lean, it takes the hair right off your beat. It's the worst darn stuff I've ever seen. I like it.
So that's how things are with old George. He's not much on logic. But then who is? Most of us muddle along without logic. Except children. Children are terrifyingly logical.
That's all there is to it.
You're not inhaling.
Well, not every time, of course not.
Bet you can't.
Yes, I can.
I knew it. Let me try.
No.
Please, it's my turn.
Who said? There, how about that?
I think you're mean not letting me.
How long has this been going on?
A couple of times, I guess.
What's that?
I've tried it a couple of times.
You're not old enough to try it at all. The very idea of a 14-year-old boy smoking cigarettes.
Gee, Dad, you and Mom smoke. You smoke all the time.
Don't be flip with me, young man.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean...
It's not a question of what I do or your mother does. You're too young, and that's final.
Yes, sir. Dad,
Yes?
how old were you?
Why, I don't remember exactly. But I'm sure I was a lot older than 14. And another thing. Don't let me catch you giving cigarettes to your sister. You hear?
He didn't. It's all my fault.
All right, all right. Go do your homework or something.
How old were you?
About 14.
So what's with the heavy father bit? The kid's only doing
I
what-
know. But he doesn't have to start so soon.
Tobacco is a dirty weed, isn't it? Say, did you ever hear the other version? My children are a rowdy pair. Never heard that? My children are a rowdy pair. I love them. Always getting in my hair. I love them. Much too silly, much too loud. When they're around, two's a crowd. But still and all, they do me proud. I love them.
You stick that knife in pretty deep.
As far as it'll go.
Too far, I think. Sure, I don't want him to smoke. Not yet. But strictly between you and me, what's there to worry about? After all, I just got a clean bill of health.
That does it. That really does it. Doctor, bring on the mountain.
One mountain coming up.
What is this?
We'll be right over. Come on.
Where are we going?
To see a mountain. Your mountain, buddy.
I don't own a mountain.
You've been building one for 28 years. Is that it?
One load to go.
I'll get it. You explain this.
Well, as he said, it's all yours. Your total consumption of cigarettes so far, George, 500,000.
You're kidding.
I wish I were. And here's the 18,000 you'll knock off this year alone.
By golly, it's kind of impressive. Reminds me of the pyramids.
You're so right. Welcome to the Royal Tube.
Well, it all goes up in smoke anyway.
Not up, George. In. You draw it into your lungs, and some of it stays there. You've heard of tobacco tar, the viscous stuff that condenses out of smoke? Well, over the years, you've smeared your lungs with 22 pounds of tar. Go on, touch it. Smell it. Care to taste it?
No thanks.
There are about 500 different chemical compounds in this mess, and at least 7 of them are known carcinogens.
They're what?
They cause cancer. That's one fact. But I've got a million of them. The research on this thing has been tremendous. You just can't blink it away. At least the Surgeon General and his men couldn't. 400 pages to support one conclusion. Health hazard. Cigarettes, they said, are a health hazard. Look, where's that big chart?
Right here.
Have you any idea how much cigarette smoking has increased in our lifetime?
Well, the population has increased.
No, I mean the rate per person. This represents the cigarettes smoked by the average adult in 1930. 30 years later, nearly 3 times as many. During the same period, the death rate from lung cancer multiplied by 10.
Now, wait a minute. You haven't shown a connection here. I'm a fact, too, and I don't...
Boy, you are stubborn.
No, he's got a point. It could be happenstance, but not my next fact. Now, we select 3 men out of the general population. The one doesn't smoke at all. The second is a light smoker, less than half a pack a day. And the third is like you, 2 packs or more. Now, George, if you were a betting man, who would you say is most likely to die of lung cancer?
Me, I guess. I mean him, the heavy smoker.
By what odds? Against the non-smoker, that is. 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 10 to 1?
I'll take 3 to 1.
You're way off, George. Even for the light smoker, the death rate is 7 times greater than it is for the non-smoker. And it's nearly 30 times greater for the 2-pack man. The odds are almost 30 to 1. 30 to 1. Sounds hard to believe, I suppose. But not if you remember the 22 pounds of tar that you've been collecting in your lungs. You know, at postmortems, they can estimate with considerable accuracy how much smoking a man has done just by examining his lungs. This is a normal, healthy lung. And here's what it looks like after 20 or 30 years of heavy smoking. Yes, that's what people do to themselves. And here's what's been happening too often. Cancer. But it isn't always cancer, of course. Might be chronic bronchitis, coronary heart disease, or this. He's a patient of mine. He spends all day in bed trying to catch his breath.
What's wrong with him?
It's called emphysema. The lungs are damaged and swell out of shape. It's hard to breathe. Commonly found among heavy smokers. First symptoms are a shortness of breath and a cough that hangs on. You know, up to now, you've been lucky, George. Very lucky indeed. I hope your son is lucky, too.
My son? I won't let him smoke.
How are you going to do that? Lay down the law? Lock him in the tower? 20 lashes?
I'll talk to him.
It better be good. Out in Oregon, smoking and parents smoking
Please.
and...
No more facts.
Well, what it amounted to was like father, like son. Or for that matter, like mother, like daughter. In other words, if you became a shining example...
Who, me? Stop smoking? Don't you think I've tried? So many times.
Try again. Every bit you cut down helps.
Food will taste better and you'll sleep better. You'll look younger and feel younger, no question about it.
If you stop, there's a very good chance your son won't start.
Hey, turn that thing off. Now, that's more like it. My children are a rowdy pair. I love them. Always getting in my hair. I love them. Much too silly, much too loud. When they're around, choose a crowd. I've got to try to do them proud. Because I love them.
I smoked for 25, close to 30 years. I decided that I should stop, but I didn't really have the final push to get me to stop. One day, and I'd been facing this realization for some time, wondering what I was going to do about it. One day in my office, one of my partners, and I work in a group in Seattle, one of my partners brought me a film on another partner, a chest x-ray, and it was quite evident that he had lung cancer. And he was a heavy smoker, and had been for many, many years. He died within the next 6 months. That same week, one of my partners brought me another chest x-ray on another partner. He also had a cancer in his lung. When I saw, and he was a heavy smoker, when I saw that, I knew I had to stop, and I put out my cigarette then, and I haven't smoked since.
I'd been experiencing numbness in my feet and ankles for some time, so I consulted a physician. And after examining me, he determined it was a circulation problem. He asked me if I smoked and how much. And after answering these questions, he simply laid the law down. There shall be no more smoking. So I gave it up.
I'm delighted that I stopped because it had been a continual mental depression to me to be doing something that I really didn't want to do.
Well, I started in high school. I started because everybody else was and made me feel terribly grown up.
I can remember well when I started smoking. I was 16, and the reason I did was because my father and mother smoked and my 2 older brothers smoked.
My children are now 7 and 10, and I don't want them to smoke. And I tell them this, and if I did smoke. They conclude either that smoking wasn't as bad as I said it was, or that I couldn't push this monkey off my back.
Things have changed so much in the last 25 years that when I was 16, we didn't know that cigarette smoking was a threat to one's health.
Like most heavy smokers, I knew in my heart I should try and give up smoking. But I really didn't want to. And it wasn't until my visit to the doctor.
Sure, I had trouble giving it up. I can remember, I have a vivid picture in my mind of sitting at the dining room table one night with my wife and writing checks, and she thought I was going into shock. It was that bad.
When we hear about how terribly hard it wasn't so hard. I didn't have to, eat 2 pounds of chocolate suddenly, or bite my fingernails, or do anything.
I must have tried 20 times, and the 20th one attempt was successful. And at the office, I put the candy bars and macaroons in my desk and sneaked them out and chewed them and so on when no one was looking.
Well, I found that chewing gum, believe it or not, was a great help. You sort of have to have something to do with your hands. At least I found this to be true. And I can't say that chewing gum did anything with my hands, but it satisfied that craving for something.
And yet I think that when one has sufficient reason for stopping, and I've got all kinds of scientific reasons, but 3 real good reasons in my 3 kids, if one has sufficient reason to stop, one can do it.
I found that I could do it. It wasn't easy, but I do feel better, and I'm very proud of myself, and so is my family.
I found it was not as hard if you put your mind to it, really.
I would like to be a moderate smoker if I could be, but I find that I can't.
And you feel you've got to do it. You want to do it and you're going to have to do it. I think you can.
We think that the only way that we can turn this tremendous incentive to smoke and turn it in the other direction is to work through the young people. I just wish more fathers would have a chance of seeing it the way I did on that one particular occasion when it suddenly came home to me that smoking was no good for me or for my kids or for the rest of the people with whom I come in contact.